proud to be the official sponsor of the DFL. Let's make this a season to remember.
Welcome back to the DFL Whiteboard Show. We're doing one team at a time. And now we are up to the Cincinnati Bengals, brought to you by Fonz Fired Pizza. And there's a lot to talk about on this team.
Oh yeah. So first of all, shout out Fonz. We love Fonz. I know it doesn't need an introduction. Fonz Fired Pizza. Go pick up some pizza. Order for your party. He's awesome. We love Fonz. This team is very, very interesting because Momo in the draft did a lot of interesting things. He traded back, then he traded back up. So it was a little bit rookie captain-y,
but he made up for it.
He had, I think, 17 or 18 overall. He traded back thinking he's going to get a quarterback. Then he realized he's not going to.
And so that's where you got to give him credit, because sometimes when people dig their own graves and they're helpless and they're like, oh,
they're late to die.
What do I do? He actually, on the spot, I watched it happen in real time, say, no, I have to fix this. I have to get back in.
He didn't really lose a lot. He lost maybe a couple picks here and there, and he got back up.
I mean, they could have held him. They could have held him over the barrel if they wanted to, but they didn't.
Yeah, they could have, but they didn't. And really, the thing is, what's interesting here is that Momo. Obviously, we know how talented Momo is, but he went ahead in the first round, took this guy.
Now, let's talk about this guy for a minute. When we signed him, and again, we can talk about this ad nauseum, but the draft class or the recruiting class this year was
second to none.
Second to none. There's really nothing more to say. It was a collaborative effort. A lot of guys helping bring other guys in and leveraging and just making things happen. But we have an argument to make that Shook is probably the top of that recruitment class. He is the creme de la creme when it comes to, I would say, our area and our boys of football. He is ridiculous.
Yes, he's really, 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 really good. On both sides of the ball. He's going to play here, he's going to go this way, and he's going to go this way. Now, the thing about Shook is that he's a dynamic player. For me personally, I figure out a way to get him out here.
But he's a tight end.
He's a tight end, but he's such a mismatch. If you have to go ahead and guard these two guys out wide, just nobody could do it.
Yeah, but so who are you going to put at tight end?
So you have to figure out a way to get some. If you can figure out a way to get this guy or this guy or this guy to be tight end, or I don't know what it is. This is a matchup nightmare for anybody.
Even if you line up a Momo and Shook on the same side, like, who do you even guard?
It's a matchup nightmare for anybody. In the tight end role, because there's the blocking involved and stuff, you're limiting him a little bit.
Yes and no, because he's an automatic safety valve over the middle for Shimmy.
Yeah, I don't want him to be my safety valve. I want him to be my playmaker. I want third and goal. I have Shook on one side, Momo on the other side. Go figure out how to guard him.
But isn't that Momo's job?
Yeah, but what if you have two guys who are doing that job?
Then who's taking away from who? You're robbing Peter to make ball.
I'm not here to feed mouths. I'm here to win games.
I understand.
So if you're here to feed mouths, yeah, Momo might want the ball.
But I think the winning move is putting him at tight end.
I'm not sure
the fantasy aspect is putting him at receiver.
No, I'm not looking at receptions. I'm just looking at the fact that you got to get two corners to line up against him and him. Every single play.
It's funny, you look at this team, and we were talking, and rightfully so, about Shook and about Momo, but a guy like Benhamu, who last year stand out on defense, I think he's primed for just to take a step up on offense too. We saw his hands. He's got great hands.
You know they talk like in fantasy, let's say, right? Of, hey, this guy has whatever. CD Lamb's ahead of him, therefore he's going to get the number 2 corner, and he's going to get more receptions that way. That's what I see from Benhamu. Like,
he's going to reap the benefits.
You go into a week and you're playing against these two guys.
He's going to be open.
For a week straight, you're figuring out a way, how do I stop this guy and this guy?
I mean, that's why...
You're not even thinking about it. He comes into the game, he's scoring 2 touchdowns, you haven't even thought about him all week.
But we're talking about a guy like this, and we didn't even get to a guy like Shimmy. We didn't even get to a Fonz's ability to affect the game, who's not playing tight end, obviously.
No.
But there are guys on this team that I don't think anyone but Momo knows, and that's scary. Yeah. If he went into the draft saying, I'm going to draft my boy, Jackie Cohen, and my boy, Eddie Esses, and he made out with them, and he comes out of the draft as their extra guys, if they have any skill whatsoever, this team is dynamic.
It's dynamic anyway, and the fact that he went ahead and traded back up to get Shimmy,
that's the key.
Is the key to the whole thing. If you're sitting here with a different quarterback or the last quarterback, whoever it might be, over here, it takes away from him. It takes away from him. They can't do it. They're not getting the ball. They get frustrated. It's a disaster.
So I think
you get this guy. He was the MVP of the Super Bowl last year.
That's what I'm gonna say.
You're looking into the ball last year. He had a very, very similar situation where he had Panitz and Dubin out wide, and he was able to get them the ball.
But the question is, are we going to get a repeat Shimmy performance? Because we saw the best of Shimmy last year. At least the best of what we saw in the last 10 years. I don't think he's ever played that well. Maybe it was definitely due to the product around him, for sure, like you said. And the product around him is arguably better right now. But the question is this dynamic and this vibe going to stem with Shim? Is it going to work?
So I think it will, and I think it's almost to the degree of in the NFL when you have three great receivers that are tight end and so many weapons. You're like, okay, Brock Purdy, you were saying forever. Anybody could do it. He has,
but he has every year.
Now we know that. But I'm saying right away, he's like he has Ayuk and Debo and George Kittle. It's easy. You know, you don't have to do a lot. That's what Shimmy has, and Shimmy's talented.
Now, one thing I saw about Shimmy last year, when Shimmy rolls out of the pocket and he goes that patented rollout and he throws on the run across his body, what I saw him do it quite a few times last year, and that's where I see where a Shook will be super dangerous. Because when you have Shimmy scrambling and Shook's a mismatch waiting to happen, and guess what? If Momo breaks free in coverage and boom, all of a sudden, like you said, there's going to be receivers running wild. I think this is going to be an offensive juggernaut. But the only part of this team that makes me nervous, and I might not be warranted to even say this, are these two newbies. Is Jackie Cohen, Eddie Esses. If they're not up to snuff, it's funny. Two X factors in a team.
It's so funny that they don't need these guys.
They don't.
This is all gravy.
But who's playing defense?
So that's the thing. They need a third corner, and I think this might be a little bit of an issue. Shimmy's not 20 anymore. Can you get side to side and play a deep safety if they're playing in the zone? You're going to have to play a 2-2 zone. This handicaps their defense a little bit because so Shimmy's not who he used to be.
Right, so Shimmy is as safety with...
They're saying...
And we didn't even talk about
they're
Azar.
Saying, right, so Azar, from what people are saying, from what I've heard, this... We spoke about the Demon Deacons, about their line,
Deacon
Demons, about Buka and Jocelyn the line. This, they're saying,
okay,
is the most dynamic line in the league. This kid, they say, is amazing. We know what Shook is. They say this kid on the line is
So let's talk
incredible.
about Azar for a second. He did have a inter-squad scrimmage a few weeks ago, and he was helped off the field, and Hatsala came. I spoke to him. I said, if you want out, now is the time. And I guess the testament to his true gamer on the inside is absolutely not. I have a month to recover. I'll be there. So let's go on to the assumption he's healthy. If he's not, this team might have trouble on defense.
Yeah, because they're relying on this.
Right.
Because they're relying on this line to put the pressure, keep the quarterback in the pocket, and then... Benham, we saw him, he had like 5 picks last year. Momo, I think he's a better offensive player than he is a defensive player. And Jackie Cohen, Eddie Esses, whoever might be here.
Last year on the Niners, I know they had CCS guiding them and they're doing what they're doing there, but Momo is awesome on defense.
No, he is. The fact that he was in the second round, I don't know. We have to question the league.
Not really. We were all a part of that process.
I'm kidding, but I'm saying I just think he's a better offensive player than his defensive player. Doesn't mean he's bad defensively. He's just that good offensively. And this, they don't really have, unless these guys somehow become the corner and the safety.
What do they need these guys to be? What do they need Jackie Cohen and Esses to be?
Not offense. They need them defensively.
So if they're defensive players,
they need to be able to cover. Like we just looked at the last team they had. Buka and Bijou and CCS, they have to be able to cover a CCS. I need you to go cover a CCS. That's all I need from you.
I like this team. I think they have depth. Obviously, it depends on the health of Azar, but assuming he's healthy, I think Benham was primed for a step up on offense, which is definitely going to help him. Like you said, he's going to be open quite often.
It's not part of the game plan. When you're defensively, you're a team. You're going ahead and you're game planning for this team. From Sunday to Sunday. He's not part of the game plan.
And we know
hey, how do we stop these guys? How do we get Shimmy off his game to be able to not be able to get these guys? That's the game plan.
Now let's talk about Fonz for a minute.
Fonz is a game changer, not just with his play. He brings
the team.
He brings it together. He's loud. He's if one of these players, anything happens to them, he's the first to back him up. Fonz is awesome.
So you're drafting Fonz.
And he blocks.
He's an amazing blocker. I'll tell you that. You're not getting by Fonz. He's light on his feet, and like you said, he is the heart and soul of any squad that he's a part of. And listen, Fonz had opportunities to play in a different league, by the way, and probably have a more prominent and featured role. And he chose to go DFL. Obviously, he sponsored a team, but that's besides the point. And because he knows that being part of a line of this caliber and a team of this caliber is so important. And you know what? That shows Fonz's character.
Yeah, and
also.
I think draft night he's friends with Buka and Zach. You know,
He loved it.
He wanted to be drafted to that team.
He did.
But once he sees this and he sees, hey, look how good this team is.
I don't- you know what,
winning,
I think-
he's gonna be very happy. To
I
go
think
win a
Fonz
championship.
has to see with his own eyes how good Shook is.
Yes.
Once he sees the ability of Shook, I think he'll be like, okay,
I think even now, right, looking at the team, now he's going to see this, he's going to be like, wow, this team is really good.
Yeah, it's a good team.
He's going to be really happy. So for
All right,
me,
great time.
this team is probably, I think you'll probably see this team in the Super Bowl. That's just my opinion, just based off, to me, it resembles a lot of the Eagles last year. The Eagles maybe were a little bit better defensively. They had Jake Luck. They have Azar. They had
Is Azar Gluck, is the question.
Is Azar Gluck on defense, but Shook is, but they don't really have the second receiver like yeah. It's a little different.
But they have what to play
But
with.
the point is that Shimmy last year had so many weapons, and I think he has so many weapons this year. To me, this team's an A.
Okay, so we're very similar again. I mean, I should have graded first this time, so you could play it off of me, but I don't think this team is quite an A. I'm going to give him a little demarcation based on the health of the potential health of Azar and based on the question marks of these, and will Ben Hamud actually step up like I think he is. But like you said, I think this team is a potential Super Bowl team, for sure championship caliber team, and they are getting a solid or a really good A-,
Yeah.
which might be my highest grade, by the way.
Yeah, I don't even know. We haven't went through the teams yet, but I'm just saying, like, to me, I guess we'll see how it goes out, how good an A is. Do I give it an A+? How bad or mid is a B? I don't know where I'll go. To me, when I say A, I mean this is an upper tier team.
Upper echelon. What we're seeing right now is so far we're 2 teams in. 2 teams can definitely win a championship.
Yeah, and they're both playoff teams for sure in my eyes.
Okay, I think that wraps up.
That's a wrap.
The Bengals, brought to you by Fonz Fired Pizza. Call Fonz for your parties and all of your pizza needs. Sauce boss.
All right.
I'm not checking, but yeah.
Well,
I'm not gonna.